Hey, what's up, guys? It is Josh Thomas here with Fanshare Sports for another Fanshare First Look course preview for the Arnold Palmer Invitational. We have a great field this week. I'm super excited to get some of the big names back in the field off of an absolutely fantastic Honda Classic last week. My boy Sung Jae takes it down. I was heavy on Tommy Fleetwood as well, Benny On, Wyndham Clark. If you were a Fanshare Sports pro member last week, you saw Sung Jae was in Lee's under the radar column because he wasn't getting a ton of love. We had I had Cam Davis, who finished in the top 10 as one of my plays that I wrote about in my taking the pulse, looking at the ownership and price differentials and things like that I put out for our Fanshare Pro VIPs every single Wednesday. So if you are not a member yet, what are you doing? You are wasting time, and more importantly, you're wasting money. Really exciting times here at Fanshare. We got that new course suitability metric. Hey, who was number one in the course suitability last week? Sung Jae. So that's something that we update every single week, and it's really been killing it this year. Our improved lineup generator, we're going to talk a little bit more about that at the end of my my video preview here, but that lineup generator is killing it. And again, every single week, we have the best ownership projections in the game. Nailed it last week again. Our one new staff member on the site, Lunas. God, I'm going to 100% say that wrong again. But he's killing it with the showdown model. He's helping with the ownership API. Guy is just killing it everywhere. We had a great week in showdown last week. I know Andrew took down a contest on Sunday with the combo of Mac Hughes. I believe in Tommy Fleetwood. Lee's been killing it with his articles there, and I'm really excited to get into. I got a few new additions to the preview here this week, so let's get into it. Arnold Palmer Invitational, Bay Hill, Florida, right just outside of Orlando. It's the Bay Hill Club and Lodge. It's a par 72, 7,454 yards. If you look at the website, it actually plays a little bit longer than on there, than they have it on there, but that's because the tour sets it up with the further back tees. Greens, we got Bermuda, fairway, Bermuda. All right, just like last week. So maybe guys that are, have played a little bit on this Bermuda last week might have a little bit of an advantage here. It's technically not an Arnold Palmer design, but since he bought it in the 60s, it's been, he's renovated it multiple times. And for all intents and purposes, this is an Arnold Palmer design, in my opinion. It's a great golf course. The thing I think I love about this golf course the most is how well bunkered it is. Especially if we get a little bit of wind, you have to be very, very careful out here, or you can make a big, big number. So not only is it well బ్unkered, but there is water. We don't have as much water as we did last week at the Honda, but we're talking, eight water hazards on the course that really come into play, and on some very key holes. So it's a very fun golf course. If you grew up playing Tiger Woods, you likely played Bay Hill multiple times. And it's a fun golf course. They got the sixth hole that's got the big wraparound par 5 that you can try to cut the corner with if you got a little extra boost on Tiger Woods. I don't think the guys will be able to do that much this week, but it's, like I said, it's a very fun course. It's an invitational. There's only 120 players in the field this week. Tournament record -19. Matt Every, 2-time winner here. The guy is just crushed at the API, and he's actually playing some pretty good golf right now. So definitely intriguing here. Winner gets a 3-year exemption on tour, which is essentially why Matt Every is still on tour. He's really struggled outside of his wins at the API. So they, you look back at some of the winners here. Molinari took her down over Fitzpatrick last week. This is maybe a little bit outside of the norm. You look at some of this, and we have a lot of very long hitters dominating this. So to have two guys, right at the lead there within, 2 strokes, that are not super long hitters tells you a little bit about the course, especially when you consider that last year the course played a little bit longer because they'd been dealing with water and stuff earlier in the week. So, or water, by water, I mean rain. So the course played a little bit longer, but we got guys like Rory Bryson, right? Mark Leishman, Kevin Chappell, Jason Day's long. Tiger Woods is obviously clearly long, an 8-time winner here, not playing this year. Keegan Bradley, Stenson crushes this course, and I actually think he might be a little bit under-owned this week. VJ long, Ernie Els long, Party Marty long, right? So, but again, short guys have found their way around here. Rocco Mediate, Kevin Na, Kiz, Fitzpatrick, right? So there's multiple ways to play this course. We look at some of the scoring here. One of the key things that you need to remember about this course is that if you're starting on the front, and it does start out pretty difficult. So, you're going to see guys start out and come in, and be maybe 1 or 2 over as they get into the stretch of holes here with this par 5 that are, they're going to go maybe 1 over on the first 3 and maybe 2 under on the bottom 3. So, or the next 3. I think that's important to remember that, you can't tilt too early on Thursday when your guy starts out with a bogey, because the first 3 holes are difficult. We close with a very, after an easy stretch there in the middle, and then we get a very difficult closing stretch on the front with 2 holes, 8 and 9, both last year played as a total about a half a stroke over par. Very, very, very difficult holes to close your front 9. Oh, this one eagle, who was it? Somebody chalky made an eagle on 9 last year coming in on Friday to make the cut. I can't remember who it was. Maybe Jimmy Walker. But yeah, somebody made an eagle. There's only one there on number 9. But, the other thing that you kind of notice here is that all 3 of these par 3s are all going to play right around 200 or over 200 yards. Not only that, with how well this course is bunkered, you're going to get a lot of 200-plus yard approach shots in. Distance, like I said, is going to be key here. And if you aren't very long, then you better be good with your long irons, because you're going to have a lot of 200-yard plus approaches. And if there's the wind's whipping, you better be good in the sand, because it's going to be trouble around these greens. As we make the turn on the back, we, again, some fun holes here. The 16th. Played almost a half a stroke under par. That's par 5 scoring is going to be key this week. We talk about, there's these long par 3s, but if you don't score on the par 5s, you will be in trouble. We got a short par 4 here, but not one that you can really get to in one, because it's going to be protected by some water out front. Again, I just love this course. I think it's a fun one to play. I think it's a lot of there's going to be some drama. 18, absolutely water in play. 17, super long par 3 with water in play, and that huge bunker all up the right side. There's just some classic iconic holes that is similar to I think we're going to have a very similar event to last week. There'll be more birdies here because it's a par 72, but it's going to be a similar event to last week where there's going to be some carnage. Somebody's going to hit the water on 18 and miss the cut. Somebody's going to hit the water on 17 and fall out of contention on Sunday. This is just a very classic design, a well thought out design. One of my favorites on tour. As we look at some of the whole data, or like the whole course data, what things that stick out to me right away are the 12.5 on the stimp. It's going to be a very, very fast Bermuda greens. I think that tends to level the playing field out a little bit, right? Because you don't need to make a perfect putt. You just need to really, instead of reading the line necessarily, you really just need to get the speed right. Driving distance here, okay, 279. Again, a well bunkered course, well thought out course. That, yes, you're going to be able to hit driver on some holes, but you're going to take in some risk. So, if you're going to hit driver, you're going to bring on that risk. So a lot of guys will choose to lay up in front of these bunkers and take that longer approach shot in. Because guys are laying up more, you're going to see that driving accuracy go up, right? So we see a really high driving accuracy, guys hitting the fairway, but we're going to see that greens and regulation go down because their approach strokes are so long. And we see that here with, approach strokes of 200 plus are 14% higher at this course than any other. So, if you want to start, whatever database you use, whatever stats you use, if you want to start looking at guys who are killing it approach 200 plus, that's where you're going to want to look. We do have, there is some eagles out here on these par 3s. Otherwise, everything else plays pretty average, a little bit higher double bogey rate. Again, anytime you get water into play, that's going to be the case. But lots of fairway strokes, not a lot of rough strokes, and a lot of sand, right? So we get, almost a full one more stand stroke per round than average on tour. Putting's about the same. Everything else is going to be underneath here because, again, we have tons of long approach shots. So, again, my key takeaways about the course, lots of water, right? 18th carries a 6% double bogey average, making it one of the highest on tour. That's a very, you're going to, if you guys remember the 18th, it's going to be a fairly easy drive into the fairway here, unless you're Tiger Woods and hit it left, or Phil Mickelson, which I believe Tiger did a couple years ago when he was playing here when he was in contention. You're going to have a fairly easy shot, but then you're hitting into a very thin green that's bunkered in the back, water in the front. So guys are definitely going to, they're going to have to take a shot at it. And if they miss, they're staring double in the face. We'll see guys hit from that back bunker over the green into the water, which is incredibly humbling and something that I do when I play on the course. So distance off the key is going to be key, or off the tee is going to be key. I wrote that in there, but a combination of distance and accuracy is massive here. So you get a guy like Francesco Molinari or Rory McIlroy, some of these guys who are somewhat long but can really put it in the fairway. Paul Casey is another guy like that. But combination of distance and accuracy is huge. We talked about how that beginning stretch is going to be difficult. Again, know that it's going to get easier. You really don't need to worry as I look at key number 5, unless your guys aren't playing well on the par 5s. If you're at even or over par on the par 5s, you will be in trouble here. Okay, the par 5s on average played about a stroke and a half under par. So you got to score there. Otherwise, we're going to be seeing a trunk slam. You're going to be your golfer's going to be heading home on Friday. Those par 3s all play over 200 yards. That's kind of the key number here, right? Approach shots over 200 yards. 200 to 225 is kind of that key range. So, you can go and look at guys who score well or who have good approach numbers from there, good proximity numbers from there, or you can look at guys who play par 3s well from 200 yards, right? So if you're going to play a par 3 well from over 200 yards, you're likely going to be doing pretty good on this course. And then fast greens, okay? You don't need to putt well if your iron game's on point. When Rory won here 2 years ago, he led the field in putting. Okay, Molinari similar last year, but then you got guys that compete in the top 10. Taylor Gooch was a top 10 finisher here 2 years ago, and he was almost dead last in putting for the week. So if your iron play is on point, you don't really need to be super great with your putter, right? So looking at some of the event history here, some of these one-timers are, it's hard, right, to really get an idea, but Henrik Stenson, 5 times here in our database, 85.8 average DK points. Looking at where his odds are right now, we don't have pricing out yet at this point, but I'm assuming that Stenson's going to get overlooked. He actually has the most birdies here in the last 5 years. He crushes this course. His form is a little bit mediocre. He hasn't really popped this year, but definitely a guy who's done well here. Justin Rose playing some terrible golf right now, but hey, right? You get back to a course that you've done well at in the past, at least multiple times. You're definitely in play. Rory leading the way here, one of my favorite plays on the week. I don't know if that Sungjae can go back to back. Molinari, he's played well here a lot of years in a row. He's failed. I don't think he's ever missed the cut at this event. He's playing some awful golf right now. He's going to be low price, but I think we can definitely be involved with Molinari this week because he just crushes. So the other thing I did in our Fanshare research area was look at how players have done in their last 10 appearances on par 72s that are 7,400 yards or longer that are Bermuda grass. So really, I didn't sort for Florida. I didn't sort for a certain golf course. I just want to see on all par 72s that are long Bermuda, how are we playing? So one appearance, but Xander leads the way. Rory right up at the top again. Matt Wallace, one appearance here last year. Okay, Molinari. Some interesting names that pop up, though, are a guy like Dylan Fratelli. 4 appearances, done pretty well on these long courses. Zhang, I like to see that, right? He's playing some good golf. Is likely going to be cheap. Gooch, not just, it tells you that it's not just a one-off performance from a couple years ago here. He really has done well on these longer par 72s. And then Cam Champ, another guy I really like this week. One thing that I wanted to talk about was the weather. All right. So right now it's Monday. It's hard to really predict this far into the future. But what it looks like right now is that the guys in the afternoon are going to get hammered with wind on Thursday. Friday looks like we're going to be a little bit gusty all day. But Thursday afternoon tee times are going to get crunched. All right. So if this holds up, we might want to start looking at wave splits. And what that means is playing golfers only from the AM wave on Thursday. So how do you do that? Well, you can look at tee times. You can try to hand build and stuff like that. Or you can use the Fanshare Sports lineup generator, which will do it for you. You can just say, and it'll do it by, you can say only PM, mostly PM, and it'll build 150 lineups for you just like that. So if this is going to be something that really holds up, I think that's going to be an interesting play this week. So not only that is, this could get a lot of buzz, right? And it should. You really should just play golfers from the AM. But what I like to do is, so say I'm going to play 150 lineups. I'll build 120 lineups that are AM or mostly AM, right? And then I'll save those last 30 and I will play all PM or mostly PM. Because what happens if, the weather switches and the guys in the AM on this wind holds, and the AM, guys on Friday get crushed, or maybe the wind prediction just doesn't come to fruition here, and we don't get this win. Now you're going to get guys at super low ownership that can crush. So you're giving yourself a little bit leverage on the field. Maybe I'm throwing those 30 lineups away, but with something as unpredictable as the wind, I love that sort of play. The other interesting thing about the weather this week is look at these air temps. 88, 88, 79, 75. You guys remember last year we were dealing with damp, wet, and cold conditions at this event. So the course is going to play much different than it did last year. I think we'll get a lot of run out. I think that it'll be a lot greener this year. Last year, if you remember, by Sunday, it ended up getting a little yellow. And it's going to play, I think, as intended with, guys, maybe even running into some of these bunkers because they hit almost a too perfect of a shot. So definitely like that. So here's where I'm at for this week. I have 2 weeks in a row that I'm on the obviously the odds on favorite, but Rory rates out so well. He's coming off a disappointing WGC Mexico. He's right there. Like, I just think that he's going to get over the hump here. He's obviously had success here in the past. Mark Leishman and Bubba Watson, two longer guys. Leash is a former winner here. I think that they're going to be fairly high owned. And there's some holes in their game that I'm not necessarily convinced about. I think Carlos Ortiz is going to be a cheap sleeper here this week. He's just so good tee to green. And then Henrik Stenson, I think that he might get overlooked despite having such a great history here. So that's where I'm at. You can give us a follow on Twitter as always. If you want to get use of that lineup generator this week, you can use the promo code Josh. That'll get you 20% off any subscription. And we'll see you in there. Again, we have the showdown model. We got that course suitability metric that you're going to want to take a look at this week. We've got Lee's articles. I got my Taking the Pulse article on Wednesday. There's tons of good content here at Fanshare on top of the best ownership projections in the game. So let's have a great week and have a few more green screens. We'll see you in the chat.